Hi everyone, bonjour à tous. Welcome to Mom's Hot Method, redefining hotness for the mother's gaze, making motherhood the growth pack experience you were looking for. Hi everyone, bonjour à tous. We're here with Charlotte Grunwald and this is Mom's Hot Method. We are opening the New York season and I'm very, very excited to be with you, Charlotte.
I'm very excited to be here.
Maybe before we start with our first topic with it, which is addressing the myth of the European mom versus the American mom, we want to know a bit more about you and how many kids you have, where you're from, just a bit of a tour of your life.
So I am a mother of three. I have two, I would say almost teenagers. One is practically a teenager, 13, 11, and then a toddler, 3. So we have variety of ages and emotions and activities, and also it's definitely pretty challenging time for motherhood and for working motherhood. We moved to New York 10 years ago, and yeah, we love our life here. It's been a great work in progress.
So you're from the Netherlands?
Yes, I grew up in the Netherlands.
Okay. And your husband is from there as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're a full European house in New York?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so as I said, today I want to address the stereotypes around European moms, French mom. Myself, I get so many assumptions about, what I am as a French mom, which sometimes that is totally not valid. And sometimes I feel, yes, there is a bit of truth to it, and there is also a bit, it can be also a bit helpful. So I want to know, what do you embrace in your European upbringing that you're trying to convey and pass on to your kids? What do you like about American moms, and what in both sides do you try and keep at bay?
So interesting, because I'm always most intrigued by the French mom or the Parisian mom even, because that's such a beautiful thing to me, because I feel like the French kids are so well behaved. So I'm always striving to have well-behaved children, for sure. But living in New York, one of the most important things for us, and this is beside raising good children, but for example food. Everyone or a lot of people, it's like a takeout culture, eat out culture, and as much as I love that because it means that I don't have to do it if we do that, I just really teach them that a home cooked meal is something you can do and you can learn to do, and it does not have to take a lot of effort. And if you plan it, and literally I have to plan this, otherwise I can't do it either next to work and everything else. Every night we have a family dinner, and it doesn't have to be special, but it's something that it's like a life skill for them, especially growing up here, because otherwise they would just become that stereotypical. As a European, I think we are more used to a home cooked meal. You know what I mean? We have access to good produce. There are so many supermarkets. It's so different.
And I think it's really important. As a mom of 2 girls and as a French mom, I feel, for the best and for the worst, French women were really connecting to our bodies, and I think if you don't cook for yourself and you don't experience food also from making it, then it's just pure consumption, and you don't actually.
No, you have to really
connect with the food as well,
and respect it and know that what it brings you and stuff. So I feel like for me personally, that's always a very big one, and I know, that's maybe not for everyone here, and also of course that's fine, because it also is what you're used to. This was actually what I'm used to. So when we moved here, we would always go out and we would always get the takeout food because we loved that for a little bit. But the kids would always have home cooked meal, but we would not. And also when they're younger, they have really different, schedule on food. So we ate later, and now we can do it all together. So that's when it changed, I think, when I was more focused on that. So that's definitely a difference. But I embrace both sides. But I also think for the little ones, the toddlers, every birthday party is always chicken nuggets and pizza, and great for them. But ultimately, I wish there was sometimes a little bit more effort by some, to make that a little different. But that's me. That's not a judgment.
I think it's just the importance is to teach your kids that, being connected to your body is so important, and I think
you have to take care of it.
You have to take care of it. And it starts by also like, you know, if you don't know at all how food is made, how are you going to recognize something that's good for your body and something that's not?
And I think, yeah, it's just a good skill for them, especially the two older ones, you know, they are more aware of it. And of course, after school, if you want to go with your friends and go to Chipotle and you want to get your bowl, go for it. You're a teenager, you can do it. This is the time you can. But I'm not. So if you eat in my house, you're going to get that bowl, I make it from scratch. And of course, so much work, and sometimes my husband's like, why do you do all of that? And I'm like, it really gives me also joy. And I make my routines on Sunday night. Yesterday on the plane, I ordered my groceries. This morning they arrived, so I have my meal plan done. It's not that I make all the pre-made. No, I just do like, tonight I know what the meal is. When I go home, I'm gonna make it, and that's it. And then I go to bed. And we eat and go to bed.
And I think it brings you satisfaction to feed
like
your family.
One of the things, if you ask me a difference, this is one of my differences. I feel like a European and New York, and it's maybe so stupid to some, but for me it's like a big one.
And okay, so that's actually, I wasn't expected to discuss that.
I thought so. I was like,
but
this is a different one, but you know.
But it's really interesting. I think one also assumption that there is between French and American is that French are really tough with their kids. So when you say, you know, when you just said French kids are well behaved,
Like a strict.
yeah, I don't know if they're scared or well behaved.
Well, I don't.
It's a real thing.
At the risk of, you know, sounding like a horrible mom, but I also feel like that's a structure. If you show them love, you can also show them the routines and the strictness. I'm not against that at all. I'm not a mom who would be like everything, oh, it's okay, no, it's fine. No. If you're at the pool with me and you're going to scream, then you're coming out. I'm going to tell you, we're not going to scream here the whole time, because there's also other people.
And
I think
it's
like a balance.
And I think that's so important to remind yourself as a mom, you're there to be loved, and deeply your kids will love you if you do the right thing for them, but you're not there to be their friends. So if you're unpleasing with them sometimes, it's okay. And I think sometimes the line is a bit blurry. And I think in France, because there is this sort of like very heavy authority that comes with mothering and parenting, it's very okay. Here, I feel it's a bit more like what we call positive education. It needs to be positive enforcement. But sometimes if there is nothing positive to say, what are you supposed to say?
Yeah, and you see also in very, you know, some occasions that the kids are the boss. I don't know if that's good.
No, it is not good.
I don't know if that's good when they get older and when things are not going their way. How are you going to deal? Because ultimately you give them skills, right?
And I also think that, you know, your job is to protect kids from the world and from themselves. They do not know what is good for them when they're when they're younger.
No,
they just have no idea.
Yet. No.
Okay, so
I love the French mom. For that reason, I think to me it always inspired me a little bit to get that sort of mid between, you know, the love and the raising them.
I think the thing is, as French moms also, you always very much put an emphasis on staying a woman. So there is a very big, like I feel in French motherhood, being overbearing is like not okay. We always, you know, like say that the French, like, you know, there's this thing called the French pause. It's when you leave the kid to cry and pause until they're soothed. I think some French parents take it to the next level.
I cannot do that.
No.
That I learned in my motherhood. I think you were posting something about this earlier, where you try to find your balance. That is something that also is something in the Netherlands, where my mother would have said that with the first two, and then by the third I was like, F you, no, I'm not going to leave this baby to cry anymore.
I don't think it's good. I think scientifically there's like stress hormone that is released when they cry, and it doesn't leave their body before like 24 hours after, if it's like a long cry.
It's not good. A baby has only one way to reach for attention, and that's that way. So I guess, you know, but this is funny because I always joke with my mom. I'm like, I'm so traumatized by hearing a baby cry. Like, I feel like maybe this is my own baby. When I was a baby, like, I cannot, if there's a baby crying somewhere, I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to like, I do not want it.
No.
Never.
I agree, it's really triggering.
And I also feel bad for the moms, because I'm like, don't worry, you can solve this, we can solve this. Like, don't be, you know, don't feel ashamed, or like babies cry, but we can, you know, I want to like help.
Yeah, there is it's true. And it's also like when your baby cries, it sends you, I always say if one of my babies are crying, I can't speak to anyone. Like I'm in panic mode,
No, you're like
survivor mode.
focusing.
I'm panicking as well. I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah, because you know there is something. But then also you figure it out fast because a mother's intuition is like everything.
And I
know
think
exactly, yeah.
there is part of the feminist narrative that I had to sort of like re-question when I became a mom. You said mother instincts. I feel before becoming a mom, I could agree, or at least hear, some feminists saying that there's no mother instinct. And now that I'm a mom, I really feel it, like the gut feelings, and I think that's becoming a mom in this day and age. It's very difficult because you don't really know.
No, I think nature, the instinct, is something we have to embrace. And I think I really saw the difference between having James and Stella 13 and 11 years ago, and then Teddy 4 years ago. I was so much more capable of letting that instinct lead rather than my mom telling me what to do, my mother-in-law telling me what to do, thinking that I have to do it that way because people are telling me I have to do it that way, not believing that what I thought was probably better, that it would actually be better. Now, I literally think 100% that that is the way to do it. A mother, not even a dad can do it that way.
No.
And that's okay, because that's just not what they have.
And they do other things.
And we tell them, if there's our instinct saying something, we tell them and we teach them. But like, it is, to me, 100% key. And I tell every new mom now also, like, you have to really trust your gut. You know what's better. And you also, some people can do certain things, like the crying out, for example. Listen, if you do that because you think it's great and you can deal with that, do it. But if you do it, but you feel horrible, why would you do it? Like, it's not going to make that baby happier, baby. And you're terrible, feeling miserable and everything too. So I think you have to trust that so much.
And I think it's also the beauty in what you said. You were probably in your 20s when you had your...
I was like 28, 29. Yeah, something like that.
I just feel like, the more you know yourself as a woman, the more you believe yourself. You don't need external validation, but it's like this with motherhood.
Don't know. And you're like doing something new, and you're like going home with a baby, and you're like, what are we going to do together? Like, you've never done it before, right? So you have to, you find it actually on purpose outside of you, because you're like, maybe someone is going to tell me, or somewhere I'm going to read it. And with the more, access we have to information, it's great, but it's also not great because it makes you stressed, or you read the wrong things and you're freaking out constantly. I think it is natural that it goes that way, but that's also why I think as mothers we have to tell each other what we know, and that's like the knowledge we can pay forward. And that if my youngest sister now would have a baby, I would tell her all those things, or my friend, it's like, you have to trust yourself. Yeah. You can do this. Motherhood is something that we've done for millions of years.
Yeah, I think definitely, and that's one of the best advice I've ever received is, like, trust yourself and trust the fact that you know your kids better than anyone.
You know every single sound, every movement.
And I think that's also probably the hardest thing, the most empowering thing, knowing that actually the solution is within you. How much power does it give you?
And how beautiful is that? It goes back to basic, right?
And it makes you also like feel very strong because it instead, as you said, of like seeking external validation or external rules, if you start like trusting yourself, tuning in, and taking your rules from what you know, I feel it's like that is super empowering.
It is, it's important, and it's important also for our daughters and their future to show them those things.
And do you feel, so going back on the theme of European versus American, do you think, like, how do you feel about like mothering in New York? Are people like in tune with their instincts, or do you feel like it's more like sort of like...
I mean, it's obviously hard to do any general, say anything general about it, but what for me was a huge difference here, is something that I was just not used to, is, for example, having a baby nurse. If you would ask me with my first child, a baby nurse would probably have saved me from drowning, and I drowned. Like, I fully drowned. I mean, having a postpartum depression, I didn't have it in any extremes, but I did definitely have it, but also I didn't know I had it. Only later I realized, wait, that was actually pretty bad. but that's something you go through, and then thankfully we came out on the right side, and it was not too bad, so I could, maintain life and build. When I had a son here, Teddy, I thought, wait, this is amazing, let's do that, let's try that. Someone who's just there for like extra at night, that we can sleep a little more, whatever, because I was scared of those sleepless nights a little bit. But then it was COVID, so I couldn't do it again. So I was like, okay, I guess we're never gonna have baby nurse. It's, much cheaper to have no baby nurse, but it was, in my mind, worth it. Can we do it without? Of course we can, but you have to have someone to help you, just a partner or whatever. Anyone, you need a little bit of extra hand, I think. And thankfully, Thomas and I have always been a really good team. He's always been the one who would do, like, with James already, with Stella he did it, and with Teddy he did it again. The nighttime feeding, he would change, and I feed and he goes back to sleep. That was the great thing, or he would burp and whatever, but we were a team, so we could do it. So for me, a big difference here is, my friends, most all of them have baby nurse, and I think they thrive on it, and they are happy moms with it, because they do get more sleep, and they do have, but it's something, again, they're used to it more.
But I also think it's because sometimes when there is a real need for a maternity nurse or night nurse, it's because the husband can't help.
Have no
because
help like that, exactly. You
yeah,
need
but also
someone
I understand that if your husband goes to work at 6 a.m. and he can't take a nap when the baby sleeps, even though it's super hard, I understand that you don't want to put that pressure on your husband.
Yeah, and you have together to figure out if that's something you want to put pressure on for each other or not, because also you want to maintain a relationship, and you want to be not
and also if the husband
grumpy to each other and bitching to each other the whole day.
Yeah, and
So
it's also sometimes
really
just a case of like scheduling. If you're on mat leave and I think actually the best thing is if the dad can, if he works in a corporate that like let you take that father leave. You hear a lot before being a mom, you can't pour from an empty cup. That's true.
Very
when
true.
you're a mom, it's true. But I think with our superpower sometimes as mom is like pouring from something that is close to empty sometimes makes us happy because then there's the giggle.
But there you you do it for your children, but then there's nothing left for my husband.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but also like they can also think that it's not about them sometimes as well.
I think it's fine, and like, listen, Thomas, accept it, because all those years it's not that we separated ways because of it. But that's also a season where you just focus less on each other, more on the children, and finding your own way in things. Because it can't be always about you and you together. There's more now, you know what I mean? And then you find each other again. It's like it can be weeks, it can be days, it can be years.
And I think what makes you stronger as a couple is not the romantic love that you like, the flame that you try and maintain. It's actually doing a good job as parents. There's not a strongest bond than looking at your kids, seeing them super happy, and be like, well, maybe we don't have time for as many dates, or we don't have time to have this endless conversation like we did when we had no kids. But look at the job we're doing.
I agree.
And I think to conclude actually on that theme, that's probably, like France is known for a lot of things, like, couture, joaillerie, beauté, a lot of things, but we're not really known. Like, except like, this one thing about the French pose to self-soothe, let the baby self-soothe, we're not known for parenting. Like, actually, the studies show that, like, the link between parents and their children at an adult age are actually really loose, way looser than in India, for example, or actually in Scandinavia. And it's because French moms and dads focus on them a lot.
Yeah.
And they're a couple and lovers before they're actually our parents. And I think, to me, keeping the good and leaving the wrong, like not the wrong, but what doesn't suit me, is definitely, I think, as parents, yes, your couple is super important. It's the ground and the fundamental. But this sort of like permanent hunt for the romance that some French couples have, and sometimes I feel a bit like I'm a bit like, it's pathetic. Like, guys, you're in your 40s, you have like 3 kids. It's okay that it's not butterfly.
It's so bad, but I cannot even imagine. Like, I'm not.
They're seeking the butterflies, and it's like, well, you don't like. Yeah, but that's also why like there's so much cheating going on, because like they're like in France, it's like a pandemic, the cheating situation.
Oh my God.
Of course, but because the dad feels like, oh, you're not like looking at me anymore, and the mom is like is trying to keep up, but it doesn't. It doesn't make her
holding up, and like, oh, well, that's so hard.
Yeah, it's so hard, and that's why I think as a mom, you're like, Dad, you are like, my husband, you're a dad, and listen, we're going to give you the attention you need, but also they're so far priority.
Yeah, no, that's definitely also the way we do it.
And I think and that is the real, like, you know, wrapping up. But I really think that the one thing that you can't do though is letting yourself down by stopping
100%.
at all.
You are the center of it all.
Voilà. So I think it's way more important to look
Everything-
after
yes,
yourself
yes.
than going and look after your husband, because if you don't look like, because, you know, even in a tactic way, if you don't look after yourself, you don't prioritize going to the gym now and then, your skin, your whatever, your husband will, like, at some point lose interest, where, like, you know, when if you focus on him doing it, all those meals, you know, being so sweet, whatever, but then you forget yourself and you're not happy.
No, you cannot. You cannot.
That is gonna really, like.
And it's again so important for your kids. They want
Yeah.
to see mama to be happy, so
Yeah.
you have to find a way.
And you want to show them that
create
self-care is
that.
important.
Yeah.
So then they know how to. If you don't take care of yourself, they're gonna think it's okay not to take care of themselves.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. Our love language is sharing a good tip with another mom. So if you liked it, share it with another mom.